Howdy y'all, Buzz Z Biker here. Just got back from a neat little ride on the hot rod Royal Enfield Bear 650 right there. Put about 100 and I don't know what I put, a little over 100 miles on it. 110. I should have closed the garage door, huh? Anyway, had a blast. I'm up to the I've got 394 miles on it, and I put 114 miles on it today, so about 50 degrees out today, so enjoying the weather, you know. But what a great riding machine. You know, tomorrow I talked to Baxter's already. We're going to get the oil change tomorrow. That's the first service is about 300 miles, a little over 300 miles. And that's just an oil change. There's no more valve adjustment. You used to have to do a valve adjustment, but the Royal Enfields rescinded that requirement. Look at that hot rod motorcycle, huh? Had a ball riding it. It's a windy day. I don't know if you can see that out there. Kind of a windy day out there. And so, you know, we got a lot of different things that we're able to test with the riding today. And the like crosswinds and how it does it do into the wind. And I did a lot of into the wind in 6th gear without any trouble, you know. I was going south on one road and had a strong west wind from the west. And, you know, it's got a little bit more wheelbase. You could tell it was windy, but it wasn't bad. But loads of power, you know. The 650 parallel twin, air-cooled, oil-cooled, single overhead cam, 4-valve per cylinder, 47 horsepower. I think it's 47 horsepower. And 41 foot-pounds of torque now or something like that. 53 or 4 newton meters. I'll look that up. One thing I got to talk about is the exhaust. And, you know, so 100 miles, I had my full-face helmet on, my Shoei Neotech 2 helmet on, and you know, strong winds, and I could hear the pipe. I could hear the bass note of the pipe, a very bassy note, and it sounds really good, you know. And in town, I did a bunch of in-town riding. You could hear it. I like the stock note. I like the stock exhaust sound. Baxter Cycle was just telling me they've got some new pipes coming in for these, and we were talking about, you know, what to do about that. And at this point, I think I'm going to keep it like this, but we'll see what they got. And that's going to be an interesting thing too. You know, there's a lot of good stuff coming for these motorcycles. But anyway, the engine was superb. Transmission. This engine and transmission, I've got a 650 over yonder. Every time, every year, every model, you know, 2005, 2024, 2025, every new iteration of this seems to get a little smoother, a little better running, a little, you know, so I appreciate that. Look at that, isn't that cool? I love that green frame. Just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then these I think they're MRF tires is the brand. I got we had a little snow and ice here, so they ran a bunch of sand down, and found some spots over at a place called BB Town, and pulled out. And there was a whole strip about, I don't know, a foot or two wide in the middle of the road. So I got on there and spun up the old back tire quite a bit through a couple gears. You can do that when you don't have traction control, right? Talk about the ride. Let's talk about the ride. So I better turn the key off, huh? The ride on the motorcycle, I am really starting to appreciate the handling and the way that this thing rides, and the seat. By the way, the seat too. You know, it's got a very different feeling seat. But let's stick to the ride. You know, I had talked about the suspension. It's on the lowest setting, and it's a firm suspension. I think it's breaking in. I think I'm starting to get used to what it's designed for. I think I'm starting to appreciate it. It's very connected to the road, both front and back. It doesn't pogo or hop or things like that, but it's a very firm suspension in that way. By firm, I don't mean hard, but I mean it seems like the tire is always in contact, you know, with the ground, which is what you want. As far as handling goes, it's a really good handling motorcycle, and I've really, that's another thing I was thinking today. I just appreciate how well it handles. And you know, I was going through some curbs, and I know this is an exaggeration, but you know, you could feel every little detail on the road. You know, if there had been a quarter laying there, you might have been able to tell if it was heads or tails. You know, I'm being facetious, but yeah, just had a ball on this thing. You know, it's a beautiful motorcycle. It's a great sounding motorcycle. It's got a little more wheelbase than the old Interceptor. And just to throw this out there, I love the old Interceptor. The Interceptor, as it was a beautiful machine. This is that motorcycle with a little more wheelbase, a little more suspension, a little more rugged road handling, you know, so this is just a little tougher, I think, than the standard road version. You know, if you want to be a scrambler, you got to be a scrambler, right? So longer wheelbase, 2.5 inches longer. I think it's 1460 millimeters. That's 47.5 inches versus the 55.1 inch wheelbase and the 1400 millimeters of the standard Interceptor. We were measuring this the other night at the shop. We believe they've added 1.5 inches here, so there's 1.5 inches more swing arm on the back here, and then the rest of it must have come from the adjustment of the rake and the length of the front fork. But it's a little more stable, a little less tweaky. It makes the bike a little more pleasant to ride. You know, if you were to race with your buddies, maybe you'd want that tweakiness. You know, but for me, this is what I want. I really appreciate it. And on a gravel road, that's exactly what you want. You know, that 19-inch front tire and then that little more wheelbase. They've retuned the motor, so it's supposed to have a little more torque all the way through the range. And that's also another thing you'd want in a Scrambler-esque kind of motorcycle. Yep. So jumping up to the seat real quick, you know, it's got this neat cut to it, and it's got this bend in here, and you can feel that when you're sitting on it. And I'm starting to get used to that. You know, I had a friend sit on it the other day, and he says, "Oh, it's so comfortable." It is comfortable, but it's also different than any other seat I've had on any motorcycle so far. And I'm just starting to get used to it. You know, you have to break in a seat, you have to break yourself into a seat. At 100 miles or at 400 miles, I guess I've got on this bike now, I'm starting to get the hang of this seat. I always say it takes 1,000 miles to get used to a seat. I also like the way this looks. You know, the hump here from the tank, the seat cutting down, and then this jet up here in the back end. The frame also jets up too. And by the way, I do like this. And Baxter's does have some Royal Enfield knee guards coming for me, so those are on the way. Jumping up here, this is something I was really appreciating again today. You know, it's got that swoopy lever. It's very thin this way right through here, but it's wide this way, and it's got this neat radius here and on the bottom. And then the grips now, you know, they've got this kind of a barrel shape. I like the way that feels in the hand. I really appreciate that. I know there's not any more range. I don't think there is any more in the clutch, but it feels like you have a little more range because of how the things are shaped and how they work. You know, the function is better, therefore the feel is better. You feel like you have more feel. Jumping up here to the dash, check that out, isn't that neat? I filled the bike up before I left, and when I got back, I refilled it. I got, let's see, let's go here to the trip meter. Trip 2, so I did almost 114 miles. I got 394 total so far. It says I'm getting 49 miles a gallon right here, but my math said I got 44.5, I think, or something like that. So we'll check on that some more. As the bike breaks in, that should get better. Also, another thing, check out the service here. It tells you when you need service right there. So I'm 83 miles over my service. And like I said, we're going to take the oil. We're going to do that tomorrow. To reset this, I got a question about that online. You have to have special equipment to reset this. No, you don't. It's actually a process. On the Himalayan, you put it in 6th gear and you hold something a certain way for so many seconds and then it clears it. We think that'll be the same way. So tomorrow when I'm at Baxter's, we'll check that out. Heated gear plugs into this right here. Neat little thing here. I've got that rigged up. It starts over here from my battery tender. I don't know if you can see it. I must have it hid pretty good. I think I might have put it underneath the cover. I think we put it underneath this cover, so you have to undo this to get to it. But so my battery tender's under there, and that's what my heated gear runs into. The gear that I'm actually wearing. So today was, when I got back, it was 50 degrees. When I left, it was about 42-ish, I think. The gear I wore today was, I've got my Noru long underwear top on. I've got my first gear heated jacket on, which I plugged into the bike, worked great. And then I got my Nervik jacket without the liner in it. And I was very comfortable the whole ride. For pants, I've got these insulated blue jeans on and I wore boots. Great day for a ride, great day for a ride. What else can I tell you all about this? You know what? I think I will call it quits for the day. If y'all are interested in a motorcycle like this, a newer used Royal Enfield, Triumph, classic British bike of any type, need parts, accessories, thingamajigs, doodads, gear, like this wonderful gear I got on. Oh, gloves today were the Polar Tech, Tourmaster Polar Tech gloves, winter gloves. Get yourself over to Baxter Cycle in the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, or go to baxtercycle.com. Tell those fine folks that Fuzzy Biker, that's me, sent you. Now, it is a nice day out there. And I did do some riding. Maybe I'll do some more tonight. Get out there and ride, my friends. Life is good. Wahoo.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wahoo!